Hey there, YouTubers. All right, so back for another video of modding my Street Rod 750. This is Street Rod AZ. Today we're going to be modding the rear fender. So I had a couple of gripes when I bought this thing. One was that awful pipe. See my other video for my complaints on that thing. And ended up getting rid of that, putting that S&S Grand National. My other complaint about this bike, and I think a lot of complaints in some of the people that review the Street Rod 750, is this ugly ass fender back here. Here you got such a nice bike. I mean, you know, look at this rear right here. It's just so nice, you know, nice and shiny. The seat butts up right to it. And then you got this lame ass fender hanging off the side of it. So we're gonna go ahead and get rid of that today. So let's see what we got. All right, so this is the package we got. It's from Tuffside, Chappelle Customs. Website is tuffside.com. I'll post a link in the description. But they basically make a fender delete kit. Get this out of the bag here. And there it is. So essentially, what does this come with? It comes with a mounting bracket, some mounting hardware, and some wonderful instructions. So let's open this up and see what everything is. All right, so apparently the first thing you want to do is remove the seat. So you're gonna obviously pull up on this and take your seat off. We'll put that down right there. Next thing you're gonna want to do, according to the instructions anyway, is you're gonna want to remove this single head bolt to get your seat off. So go ahead and put that down. And then of course, getting your seat off is just a matter of lifting up and pulling back. And we'll go ahead and stick that down there. So apparently now this is the end of step one, and we'll move on to step two. All right, third step in the process. You want to loosen these two strap bolts, and then you want to take your strap off very carefully. You don't want to lose screws. So we'll go ahead and put this over here down on the seat. Then the next thing you want to do is you want to loosen these two back cowl bolts. So I've already gone ahead and loosened them, not to bore you with me unscrewing stuff. So put these aside over next to our seat head bolt. And then apparently we can just lift up on the cowl. This is kind of challenging to do with one hand, but yep, there it comes. The cowl comes right off. All right, so I don't want to scratch this, so we'll go ahead and put a towel down, and we'll put the cowl down there. All right. So now that I think we got everything exposed, I'm gonna go ahead and guess that we're probably gonna want to loosen these two bolts. But let me go check the instructions and I'll be right back. All right, next thing is lights. So apparently we want to take this light off. So in order to do that, we need to take these two bolts off. And I don't know if you guys can see, but underneath, we've got two 8mm bolts right there and right there. So we'll go ahead and take those off. Again, not going to bore you with me unscrewing, so be right back. All right, had to move the bike outside because it was getting a little bit dark. But the next thing you want to do is once you get these bolts off, be careful because the hardware can fall down in here. But when you first get these two bolts off and then the two underneath, you'll be able to basically lift up on the light this way and then pull it out. Now the next thing they say to do is you want to actually disconnect the light. So that I believe is this one, but what they said to do is to snip off the factory zip ties, which explains why they gave us a bunch of zip ties, because we're going to have to put new ones on. So we're going to go ahead and cut that off, and then we're going to disconnect the light. Something to note here. So obviously the first zip tie down here is really easy to get off. It's just our standard old zip tie and you cut it. The second zip tie, however, has got this funky little plug in it, you know, so it mounts into the frame to hold these wires in place. Well, I was kind of like, I don't really want to lose that. So what I ended up doing is, I don't know if you can see, let me see if I can put this down here. what I ended up doing is I ended up just snipping it there, because then what I can do is I can pull this through, and I can still use this as a mounting spot and just put a smaller zip tie that came with the bracket. I can put it through, so I won't lose my body mount position there. Or if you want, you can trash it and find another solution, but this is what I think I'm going to end up doing, and we'll see how it goes when we put the bracket back together. Okay, so the next thing is to disconnect the lights. So the first thing you want to do, all the zip ties we just cut, hey look, see, I got my cool little mounting bracket back. All the zip ties we just cut, well, we want to now disconnect all these wires. So what we can see here is there's 4 of these, but one of them isn't actually used. One of them is just sitting there. But what we do have is we've got, oh, I'm sorry, no, there were 4. Duh, I'm an idiot. One of them's for the tail lights. But we got 3 wires here, and you're probably going, what the hell are there 3 wires for? Well, this one is for this little license plate light. I never even realized it was a light until now. And then the other 2 are for the left and right turn signals and so forth. So something you should probably be aware of, you're gonna lose your license plate light, which is here. I would imagine there's still gonna be some light on it from the tail light, when the tail light's on. But if you live in a state where you actually have to have a lot of light, you may not have enough luminescence, is that the word? Or illumination on your plate. So you may want to check what the law is, because you might get a ticket. I don't know. I'm gonna risk it. I don't really give a shit. Anyway, so time to unbolt these things. So there are, I don't know if you can see it, there's a bolt there, and then there's one on the other side. So we're gonna go ahead and unbolt the turn signals and pull all those wires through. Stay tuned. Okay, something else that the instructions don't tell you about. So apparently, I don't know if you can see them, but there's one. See these little clips? These are held in with a small Phillips head screw. These are holding the wires in place. So as you can see, I got the bolt out for this, but lo and behold, I can't pull the wire through because there's this stupid little clip holding it in the way. And I think there's even another one up here, and probably on the other side too. So probably gonna have to mess with that a little bit. And freaking tastic. Okay, so apparently Harley Davidson never intended for you to get these things out, because even though they made these little clips really tiny, they won't fit through the freaking hole. They're just a bit too wide. So fabrication time. Guess we're gonna need to take a drill or something, a Dremel probably, and route this out a little bit so I can pull this back through. Stay tuned. All right, and doing the right side, there are these little clips which basically hold the wire up in here so that it stays out of the way. And these little guys push in through a hole. So all I did was push them out. So I went in through the top. You'll probably see there is a hole right there, and there's one on the other side. And that's where these little guys were sticking out. So yeah, you just push them in from the top. And again, I think you're probably gonna wanna do the same thing. You're gonna wanna cut the zip tie like right here, and that way you can pull it through, but you still can use this as a mount, because I noticed the zip ties that do come with the Fender Elite kit are smaller, so they'll fit through here without cinching. So just make a really good mount point. So just a note on that one. Oh, and the other thing is, I did have to route out that hole. See if I can give you a perspective. All right, so you can see the hole, those 2 holes. You can see the one to the left is now kind of oblong. That's because I took a Dremel with a really tiny bit and or a little tiny tip, just a grinding tip, and I just kind of routed it out a little bit. You don't have to do a lot, and make sure that you keep the wire to the opposite side of wherever you're dremeling, because the last thing you want to do is Dremel into that wiring harness. Then you're really screwed. You're gonna have to go spend like freaking $200 on a new one. All right, so we got the all the wires pulled through. Got both the lights over here. There's one, there's 2. So the last step to get this rear fender off is to take 1, 2, 3, where's the fourth one? Shit, I thought there was a fourth one. Oh, I guess there's only 3. So 1, 2, and oh no, there it is, it's hiding. 4, right there. You take those 4 bolts off, and then the fender should lift right out. All right, so took the fender off, took those 4 bolts out, took the fender off. Then it got a little freaking tricky. So the instructions tell you then to mount this bracket, which wasn't a problem because, you know, they give you some bolts and they give you a couple washers and they give you a lock washer and then they give you 2 black spacers that you're supposed to put in here. So that was pretty straightforward. The thing that was really screwed was trying to figure out how this taillight mounted. And it took me and a buddy probably a good 5 minutes to try and mock this up to see what worked best, but I think we finally got it. So remember that original bracket, this one, right here, that held the headlight in place? It was attached here. So apparently you gotta reuse that. It fastens onto the back of the light here. But where it used to fasten, down here, where it used to fasten to this, apparently doesn't fasten to anything anymore, which seems completely stupid, but I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and say that maybe that's what they intended. So those, remember those 8mm bolts that were on the bottom right here? So those, look under here, you can see those 2 8mm bolts here. That's actually now what secures the light to the new bracket. One concern I have is the fact that this is now completely open to the elements. Not so concerned about the back of the light per se, but you know, the fact that the engine control module is sitting right there and now this is exposed to potentially like water spray and all that other stuff, that kind of concerns me. So I think I'm going to take a pause for a second and try and figure out what a temporary solution is. So I'll be back. All right, and we're back. So I went ahead and I reassembled everything while I was thinking about what the heck to do about that gap, which I mentioned earlier I'm not super happy about. But I went ahead and put the lights on. They were really easy to put on. All you need to do is reuse the same bolts to put it on. They fit perfectly. You shouldn't have any issues getting these taillights back on. Just make sure that you don't reverse them, because then the Harley Davidson logos will be upside down. They will work. You can connect them upside down, but you're gonna look kind of retarded if you have upside down Harley Davidson logos. Anyway, tighten everything down. Tighten down these 2 bolts. Tighten down those 8mm bolts that are holding the light. There they are, holding the light to the new bracket. And then I went ahead and routed all the cables. I cable tied them down. You can see there's one there. Zip tied that one down there. And then remember that first little white zip tie mount? You can see here, I just put a little zip tie through it, and then you kind of rerun everything. Now, you're probably going to notice that there were these 2 connectors. Where are they? Here. There's this one, and then there's this one, which I believe is for some sort of external light control. I don't know. Maybe you can hook a cigarette lighter adapter up there. Who knows what the hell that's for. But anyway, these were just kind of sitting. They were, one was attached to the bracket there. The other one was attached to the fender. You just kind of have to reroute those and let those sit underneath this bracket. They don't really serve any purpose that I know of. This one might. It looks like it's got something clipped into it. Maybe it's a turn signal module. I'm not sure. I'd have to check the owner's manual to figure that out. But yeah, anyway, you can go ahead and just tuck it away in here. It doesn't get in the way with the cowl. I already test fit the cowl with everything. And I think what I'm gonna do, I talked to my neighbor who's pretty damn smart and amazing builder and engineer. What I was going to do was take a piece of plastic, and I was just going to cut the plastic down so it kind of mounted like that. Then he showed me this really cool foam that essentially I could lay across the whole piece to kind of insulate everything, and then I would just leave a little flap of it over here. Again, I don't know if you guys really need to do this. I mean, that engine control module is watertight. I'm just overly paranoid, so I'm gonna probably go get a piece of foam at Lowe's or Home Depot and cut it so it fits perfectly over this. Also, the cool thing that it'll do, one thing I noticed is when you put the cowl back on, the cowl really rests on this light a lot. And I'm kind of worried that if my, 120-pound wife gets on this bike, that it's going to put some pressure on this light. Again, call me paranoid, it's probably nothing, but I kind of want a little bit of buffer, maybe like a couple millimeter buffer between the edge of the cowl and the light. So if I get like a 3 or 4 mil thick pad, like he showed me, it's really the padding he's talking about is like the stuff you stick under hardwood floors before you lay them down. It's that stuff, and that stuff is waterproof. So that's what I'm going to use to cut out and kind of cover this up to add a little bit more moisture protection. But the cool thing is that's going to give me the added benefit of taking a lot of the pressure off here, and that way all the weight of the cowl now will solely be on these brackets. And subsequently the frame of the bike. So I'm gonna head over to Lowe's and get that piece and be back to take a look. All right, so after a little thought and some In-N-Out burger, kind of decided that really the only thing that needed to be done was this back section here. I just wanted to seal it off a little bit because of the extra gap here, and obviously the tire, in case there's spray or something. So what I ended up doing is I ended up getting some of this sponge window seal. I ended up cutting a strip to just go across that back brace that the cowl mounts to. And it's pretty thin, and plus it compresses too. So I think the other thing that this is going to do is it's going to take some of the weight from the cowl. Is going to take it off the rear light, because the cowl was literally on here, and if you push down on the cowl and it flexed a little bit, it was pushing down on the light. And as I mentioned before, some passenger gets on the back, I don't want it like bending the light or doing anything like that. So I think that's going to work. So the next thing to do is put the cowl on and tighten all the bolts. All right, so we got all the bolts torqued down, including the strap bolts and the back ones. Everything looks pretty good. Cowl feels really tight and snug. So let's go ahead and put the seat on. All right, so put the seat on, cleaned up the tins, some of this crap. This stuff's really good, by the way. Just want to wipe the bike down. Yeah, looks pretty damn good. Let's see with the lights on. Oops, road rage behind me. That looks a hell of a lot better. No more big old fender hanging down. Really kind of gives that cafe racer look to it. So all in all, I think this thing's pretty good. We'll see how it works out. I'll definitely report back if I have any problems. But for $40-something, I think it's definitely worth the investment. And it sure as hell does make the bike look a hell of a lot better. So I think the thing I'm stuck with now is, what the hell else do I replace on this? Well, don't really have any additional gripes. It's a great bike and pretty much taking care of the things that annoyed the hell out of me. So anyway, I hope this video helps you guys. If you were thinking about doing a fender delete on a street rod, and hopefully this will help you get through the struggles that I went through. Love to hear some comments. And if anybody has questions while they're trying to do it, definitely send me a message and I'll try and get back to you. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.